Yo, what's going on? What's going on? Man, it's been a long time since I seen y'all, man. It's been a long time. And listen, let me just be clear, man. I'm not about to get on here and promise or act like I'm about to be like back or anything like that, man. I don't know what I'm going to do in 2025 as it relates to content, man. But one of the things that I definitely did know that I want to do, man, is I want to try my best to get some type of yeah, man, some type of teachings out here, man. But we'll see, man. I kind of got back and forth thoughts and positions around content creation right now, man. Me and my guys, we always talk about, man. It's an interesting time, man. There's so much content critiquing taking place, man. That from within Christianity, man. That I ain't even gonna lie, man. It's a lot of it's kind of discouraging, man, and it's caused me at sometimes in some places just to be like, man, you know what? I'm not really sure that I want to kind of get in these platforms, man, because it just seems like anymore, man, people for the sake of whatever, it's just an overcritical culture right now, man. And I think that there needs to be some level of critique, especially when it comes to false teaching, abusive leaders, things that are super harmful to the body. But I think it's sometimes, man, it's just getting too critical, man. And that means, man, you up anybody, everybody up for the chopping block. You know what I'm saying? And man, my mental health just don't really, um, yeah, ain't really in that space, man. But either way it go, man, I did just want to kind of come on here, man, and today, I felt the need. I wanted to talk about something that was kind of important, man. So, I guess even in saying that, I'll say, listen, man, I don't know what type of schedule I'm gonna be on, man. I don't want to promise y'all anything, man. But either way it go, man, just man, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Man, I don't know, man. You never know, man. Y'all y'all might force me to kind of get into this thing in 2025, but it'll be difficult, man. I ain't even gonna hold you, man. Most of y'all know, man, I'm in the dissertation mode of my PhD in biblical exposition. And so, man, that's gonna be a grind, man. And then next year I got some training and things to train in churches on how to create disciple making culture. So I got cohorts I'm going to be in and training and leading all throughout the year. So that's going to take a lot of my time, man, and then just personal leadership development stuff, and as well as just continuing to pastor Reach City Church, man. So if you're not following us, man, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Reach Church CLE, man. Go ahead and follow us on YouTube at Reach City Church Cleveland. If you want to listen to messages and sermons, man, hit all of the subscribe buttons, man. Subscribe and like. But again, man, so I don't really know. I can't promise y'all it's gonna be all types of stuff taking, cracking off. But I'm gonna try to do something, man. I'm gonna try to I've been doing the lives on my Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I am Pastor Tanks, man. I try to do once a week Q&A with me from 9 to 10. I don't really have a day that I necessarily do it. It's been Thursdays. But it really can be up in the air, man. But so you can follow me on I am Pastor Tanks, and I do Q&A from 9 to 10 once a week. I do my best to do that. So I am trying to get things out here. I don't want to make a commitment to you guys that I can't keep. But I do want to at times get on here and just begin to deal with things, man. And so um some of the content could deal with apologetics. I have my master's degree is in Christian apologetics. I love apologetics. My love for it is it's been interesting. Like I said, it's just a lot of stuff in the culture and the climax of Christianity that's kind of had me really checking for a lot of different things, man, and really questioning a lot of stuff and checking my heart on a lot of things. And so I still have my loves, but I don't know. I just be, man, I don't know. One day, man, I talk about it. One day we'll get into it. I don't know no deconstruction type stuff. I'm with Jesus all day, every day. But just the culture, the community, I guess I would say more so the apologetic community and the Christian content creation community. But one day we'll talk about it, man. But I still love apologetics. I still love biblical exposition, biblical apologetics, man. Really getting into the text, answering questions, edifying the body of Christ, rebuking false teaching through the word of God, calling out things that we should be aware of. I do that. That's what I do on a regular basis, even though I don't create content about it all the time. And that is literally what I do on a regular basis, man. And so, I might bring it to the screen, man. But for now, man, I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys real quick, man. It's interesting, man. I do my discipleship group, man, twice a month, man. Meet with a group of guys, 12, 13, 14 guys, man. And all year I've been walking with them, man. And it's been a beauty, man. But one of the things, I mean, we talked about recently, and it really made me be like, you know what? I want to talk about this live on. I want to get this kind of study to the church community as a whole, because there's this thing, man, that is just taking place, man. And what I mean by this thing that is taking place, what I mean is that, man, there's a wrestle that we have as followers of Christ on this world, man. There's a such thing called a theodicy, or the problem of evil. And a lot of times we look at the problem of evil from the most basic format of just simply saying, if there is a God, why evil? Right. But there's another form of this problem of evil that followers of Christ find themselves asking. And it's not so much if there's a God, why evil, but more so, why does the evil person or the wicked appear to prosper while the righteous appear to suffer? Right. That is, any of us, man, we can connect with feeling like that, man. We are thriving and striving and trying to be steadfast in this walk and walk with the Lord. And we have given up things for the Lord. We have turned away from things that we desired and we like for the Lord. And then we look around and we see people that have no regards, no reverence for the Lord, inside and outside of the church. And it appears at times that they are prospering, they are being successful, right? If I can just be personal, man, one of the things that I struggle with, that the Lord is always checking my heart on, man, is sometimes, man, I just struggle with when you see false teachers and unsound leaders growing ministries that are just exploding and large. And I'm just being honest, man. I believe that I do the best to handle the text well and to shepherd people from a sacrificial serving point, and to give the word of God as accurately as possible. And sometimes it's the wrestle, man, with God, where it's like, man, if they're false, if they're leading your sheep astray, why, Lord, are you allowing their ministries to get the access or the looks that it's getting? And but you have ministries, man, that are just faithful, and sometimes it seems like like they're struggling. They're struggling to get looks, or they're struggling to keep their doors open sometimes. And praise God, we're not struggling to keep our doors open, but when you're looking at other things, you can quickly fall into this comparative syndrome, right? I'm comparing things, and the Lord is always testing my heart and checking my heart, and calling me back to be content and to center and to focus on being faithful to Him no matter what. And I am, and I do, and I'll just say that. And one of the reasons, though, that I believe that the Lord is constantly, when I had those moments, quickly checking my heart. And I used to didn't always check my heart for years. I let those negative thoughts just sit with me. But man, over the last year, I check it quick and I shut it down quick. Because one of the things that I saw happening when I wasn't when I wasn't checking those emotions, was I found myself starting to scoff at the very thing that the Lord had called me to. I called myself, man, all of a sudden complaining about the call on my life, because I wasn't content with where I thought I should be, based upon looking at where other things were at and comparing them, not the healthy ministries, but then being like, God, but this ministry right here is leading your people astray. And man, and it was causing struggles with scoffing at my call, and being discontent in areas. And so, man, I really just man, had to start to deal with that. And I think the truth of the matter is, regardless, man, of what it may be, anytime you are being faithful to the Lord, and it appears that those individuals who are not being faithful to the Lord are appearing to have levels of success that you desire, you quickly can become discontent with the place in which the Lord has you in. And man, one of the things that I want to kind of just focus on with us, give me a second. One of the things that I just want to kind of focus on to today, and one of the things that I focused on with the men in my discipleship group, man, was the idea that this is not a new problem, and the Lord has a warning for us and an encouragement for us in this way. And it's so interesting. One of the things after we kind of talked about this is, man, I leave Bible study where we talking about this subject, and I go to the store, and a guy that I had evangelized over the summer, he didn't want anything to do with the Lord, man. We talked about God, whatever. He didn't commit, or whatever the case may be. He said, I don't know why I need God. You don't need God. You just need to work harder. All of that, the typical things. And so I see him in the store, and I'm like, yo, what's going on, bro? He like, yo, what's going on, man? And that was kind of it. And then he looks at me and he's like, yo, he been good to you? And I'm like, oh, absolutely, man. God has been faithful, been good to me. And he opens up the door of the store, and he says, he been good to me too. And it's this 2024 brand new truck, man. And he don't follow God. So, he was somebody else. But it was kind of like right in that moment, the very thing that I had just talked to those who I disciple about became a thing that the enemy was like, let me test you real quick. How you about to feel? Because right away you see a person who's not walking with the Lord, driving something brand new. I'm driving a 2016 car, run fine, man. I ain't got no car note that's paid off, you know what I'm saying, everything like that. But suddenly, you know what I'm saying, you can be tested in that moment to kind of be like, oh man, why he, bro, I kind of low-key do want a truck though. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But it was like a very right away situation, man, where you can find yourself enter into a place of discontentment and beginning to ask God, why can I have those things? Why are those who aren't walking with you appearing to be better off? And this is a very real thing. And it's so real that it's not just you or me. Man, this has been a problem even for the Israelites, right? You see one of the passages that is so critical to me in this is, man, is this passage in Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Let me share my screen here. But in Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, this is powerful passage. I got it up on the screen here. It's this powerful passage. I want to go here though. It's this powerful passage in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, man. Verse 10, it says this: so then I have seen the wicked buried, those who used to go in and out of the holy place. And this wicked, those who going in and out of the holy place, he's dealing with those who have established prestige. But he says, and they are soon forgotten. In other words, all that prestige won't matter when you die. They'll be soon forgotten in the city where they did such things. What's things? All of these things that gave them honor, all of these things that gave them success. This too is futility. Then he says this: because the sentence against an evil deed is not executed quickly, therefore the hearts of the sons of mankind among them are fully given to evil. Because the sentence against an evil deed is not executed quickly, therefore the hearts of the sons of mankind among them are fully given to evil. And when you look at that, man, I understand what the preacher is saying here. He's saying that there is, when evil is not quickly vindicated, or when evil is not quickly judged, what begins to happen is two things. One, those who do evil lean more into doing evil because they've gotten away with what would be evil, and so they just keep doing it. They go deeper. Their hearts become fully given over to that evil act. It's like, hey, I tried this, I ain't get caught. Oh yeah, I'm about to do it again. And if you, by the fifth time you ain't get caught, man, it's really you fully be giving yourself over to doing whatever that thing is. So in one sense, when evil is not quickly dealt with, the evil person goes deeper and becomes more committed to the evil act, versus if you go rob somebody and you get caught the first time, you go to jail, you might come out and you might be like, man, I ain't gonna be robbing people, man. I got caught and I ain't trying to go back to jail. But if you just keep robbing people and nothing ever happens, man, you start to feel invincible about that thing, right? And so you got to understand, here we're talking about the knowledge of God, right? Who is the just God, right? And you can, and people are doing things and getting away with things, and there's nothing happening to them. All of a sudden, people begin to be like, oh man, I'm good. Ain't no ain't no real consequence to this thing. But then what happens is the one who walks with the Lord, the one who walks with the Lord and sees this thing, all of a sudden, there becomes doubt that gets created in the hearts of that person. And they begin to wonder, well, why, if there's God, why is he not punishing the wicked? Why are they being successful in the things that they do? And so doubt begins to to creep into the mind of the believer. And what begins to happen is once that seed gets planted and it sits there and it ruminates and it gets watered by the continuation of no evil being judged in the way in which we think it should be judged, suddenly what begins to happen it softens our heart to evil acts, and we can find ourselves giving into evil to get the same success that we see the evil person getting, because they did not get judged by it. And that's just a reality that each of us has to deal with. That's a reality that each of us has to deal with, and that's a reality that all of us have found ourselves in. We have seen the evil done under the sun, and we have not seen the judgment that some of us would desire to see happening, man. And some have either begun to question the goodness of God because of it, and others have begun to get softened up to the idea of evil, and they begin to compromise to receive the success that they see the evil person receiving. And so maybe you see that person with the car that you desire, and it's like, man, shoot, man, if they can go get it like that, man, then what am I over here giving up all this stuff for the Lord, and he just letting those individuals who are wicked just continue to prosper, and we begin to feel like that. And this was the very issue that the preacher in Ecclesiastes had to deal with himself. He continues, and he says this. He says, what did he say? He says, verse 14, there is a futility which is done on the earth, that there is the righteous person to whom it happens according to the deeds of the wicked. On the other hand, there's the evil people to whom it happens according to the deeds of the righteous. What does he mean by that? Well, he's saying that evil people get rewarded with success, which should be the deeds of the righteous, and righteous people sometimes is enduring calamity and loss and suffering, which should be the deeds of the wicked. And he says, man, this is backwards. And man, many of us, man, have can definitely say that we felt that way. That is backwards, man. And what happens though is if we let those thoughts sit, if we let those thoughts stay with us too long, man, we find ourselves doubting the very God that we love. We find ourselves questioning the goodness of the God whom we serve, and some of us find ourselves giving into evil things for the sake of success. You start to give into these models. You start to give into these structures and these formats that people have been saying, yeah, just do this, and it can be successful, even though you know that it's just not righteous. But you start to give into it because they're giving into it, and they're having the success that you desire yourself, and you're no longer content with what God and where God has you. You want what they got, and if this is the way they got it, and they're not being punished for the way that they're doing it, why am I not taking that path to get the thing that I want? And you start to get compromised, and you start to compromise, you start to conform, right? If you don't grab hold of that thought. And it's important that we grab hold of that thought, right? And the reason why is because the psalm the preacher in Ecclesiastes says something else. In verse 12, he says, although the sinner does evil 100 times and may lengthen his life, here it is, still I know that it will go well for those who fear God, who fear him openly, but it will not go well for the evil person, and he will not lengthen his days like a shadow, because he does not fear God. Man, he says, listen, I know, however, that it will go well for those who fear God and who fear him openly. He's saying, listen, even though I see the evil person continue to give themselves fully to evil and have success, even though you see people who struggle with turning from walking in faithfulness and righteousness to the Lord to pursue evil things, chasing after the success that the evil person has received, that they desire themselves. He says, but I know that, listen, it doesn't matter how successful the evil person is on this side of the earth. I know that it will go well for those who fear God, but it will not go well for the evil person. And here's what he means by this, right? Psalms 37 is a passage that many of us know. And it's titled "Security for Those Who Trust in the Lord and Insecurity of the Wicked." But look let's listen to how it starts off. Do not get upset because of evildoers. Do not be envious of wrongdoers. So psalmist opens up David. He says, "Listen, guys, I don't want you to be upset because of evildoers. I don't want you to be envious of wrongdoers." And he says, and then he says, "Here's why: for they will wither quickly like the grass and decay like the green plants." He's saying, "Listen, I don't need you to be upset with the ones who are evil. I don't need you to be envious of the ones who are wrongdoers. Why? For they'll quickly wither. They'll decay. They'll decay rather. And if you go down a little bit more, where he actually explains this a little bit more, he says in 7b right here, do not get upset because of the one who is successful in his way. Who? The evil person. Because of the person who carries out wicked schemes. Cease from anger and abandon wrath. Do not get upset. Why? It leads only to evil doing. He's talking about the same thing that the preacher in Ecclesiastes was talking about, that because the judgment is not executed quickly against the evil person, then the hearts of mankind be given over to evil, fully given over to evil. This is what he's saying here. If you get upset or you become envious of the success of the wicked, it only leads to evil doing yourself. Why? Because suddenly you begin to conform, you begin to give over to the ways of the wicked, seeking after what? Their success. And then in verse 9, he says, "For evildoers will be eliminated, but those who wait for the Lord, they will inherit the land." He says, "Listen, I do not want you to be upset because of evildoers. I do not want you to be envious of wrongdoers. Why? For they will wither quickly. They will be destroyed. They will be no more." Verse 10, "Yet a little while, the wicked person will be no more, and you will look carefully for his place, and he will not be there." Right? And so this is essentially what the preacher is saying in Ecclesiastes 8. Listen, they may have moments of success, but I know that it will not go well for the wicked. Why? Because they will wither quickly. You will look for them and they will be no more. This is talking about death, but specifically what takes place after death, the judgment that comes on the righteous and the judgment that comes onto the wicked. It won't go well for them on that day when they must stand before the king and give judgment, but it will go well for the righteous on that day when they stand before the king to be judged because they remained faithful to him and did not give their hearts fully over to evil, becoming envious of the success of the evil to the point of the evil person, to the point that they walk in his ways. And so instead of becoming envious, and that leads to conformity, that leads to compromise, the psalmist says, just trust in the Lord and do good. Live in the land and cultivate faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he will do it. He will bring about your righteousness as the light and your judgment as the new day. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not get upset because of the one who is successful in his way. The psalmist says, hey, listen, instead of being upset, instead of looking at the success of the wicked and allowing it to cause you to be discontent with the Lord, and to scoff at the things that the Lord has for you, instead, just keep trusting in the Lord. Keep delighting yourself in the Lord. Keep committing your ways to the Lord. Don't trust in the success of the wicked and their plan. Trust in the Lord. Don't delight in wickedness. Don't delight in evil. Delight yourself in the Lord. Meaning, I don't care how much success materialistically comes to a person who is walking unfaithfully to the Lord. My delight is such in the Lord. My delight is such in the Lord that none of that stuff can deter me or steer me away from faithfully walking with the Lord. It doesn't matter what I want. It doesn't matter what I desire. What I desire over material riches is the Lord, and my delight is in him. And here's the thing: when my delight is in him, I only delight the things that are good. I only delight the things that are delightful to the Lord. And so what does he do? He gives me those desires of my heart. I don't commit my way to the ways of the wicked, trying to gather their success. I commit myself and my ways to the Lord, and I trust him. I trust him with my life. I trust him with the timeline of my life. I trust him with the timeline of my material blessings because he will do it. And I rest in the Lord and I wait patiently on him. This is a big one. Hey, God, this is your plan. I got to be faithful to it. And I got to just be patient in the process, knowing that you will bring about what you desire to bring about according to your timeline. But instead, I must be patient and not be so anxious for whatever it is that you're desiring to achieve, that you move before the Lord and you start to commit yourself to these 12-step plans and these Instagram plans and and this overcritical thing that feeds into the hearts of the already wicked anyway, who love negativity. And so you can grow your platform by being negative. No, you don't give into any of that. You stay faithful to what the Lord has called you to do, and you let him bring about the success that he has for you according to his timeline and according to the portion in which he desires to give it to you. And that's, listen. That's difficult. That's difficult. I'm not saying, I get it's difficult. I know it's difficult, right? Because we all desire things materialistically. We all have plans. We wrote our 3 to 5 year plans out and we want to see those things happen. But if we don't learn to do what the psalmist is telling us to do in the midst of the world that we have to live in, understanding that we are in the in-between time of the first advent and the second advent of Christ. And in this in-between time, the Bible is very clear to tell us in Ephesians that the God of this world has this temporary ability to bless and this temporary ability to provide success. This is why when Satan was tempting Jesus in the wilderness, he took him up to the highest mountain. He said, bow to me and I'll give you all of the kingdoms of the earth. He meant it. He had the ability to do it. Satan can bless, Satan can give, right? And because we are in that in-between period, we will see the wicked get success. This is why they scoff at the righteous sometimes. This is why they mock the righteous sometimes. You following the Lord, you doing all of that, but I'm doing better off than you in this world. On this side of heaven, you are. But I know that it will not go well for the one who does not fear the Lord, but for the one who fears the Lord, I know that it will go well for him. And not just the one who fears the Lord, but the one who fears the Lord openly. This is what Jesus says: deny me before man and I'll deny you before my Father. Not the one who in their quiet closet space loves the Lord and worship the Lord, but the one who stands for the Lord in the public. The one who stands and trusts in the Lord in the public. The one who stands for the Lord when the Lord is being mocked and the ways of the Lord is being mocked. The one who stands for the Lord openly. It will go well for him. When? On the second coming of Christ, when he comes back to fully bring vindication against all wickedness and to fully reward the righteous who have walked in him. And the reason that we know this more, let me show you another text here. Well, let's just stay here. Psalms 37 verse 11 says about the wicked, there'll be no more. You'll look and you won't see them. But here it is. But the humble will inherit the land and will delight themselves in abundant prosperity. Now, here's the thing. This is literally, this whole thing right here is literally what Christ says in Matthew 5. Blessed are the gentle, for they will inherit the earth. That word gentle really should be translated humble, because it's not saying blessed are those who are kind or soft-spoken. It's not blessed are those who have power, but don't display their power, because some translations may say blessed are the meek. That's not, the word is really humble. It should really be translated humble there. And the reason we know that, one, is because if you look at the Septuagint, you'll see this passage, and you'll see the word gentle here. It'll be used in the Septuagint in Psalms 36, quoting this exact same verse, and it'll say, blessed are the humble, for they will inherit the earth. But at the same time, you don't even need to get that deep into it. You see this very same thing taking place right here in Psalm. This is the exact same verse. Blessed are the humble, but the humble rather will inherit the land and will delight themselves in abundant prosperity. This is the exact same thing that Christ is saying right here. Blessed are the gentle, for they will inherit the earth. And what does he mean by that? And if you're asking like, where am I getting all this? The word land, again, if you're looking in the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible, then you'll see the same word yin for, I mean, used for land, and the same word for gentle use in the Septuagint portion of this verse. But what does it mean? Well, what does it mean to be humble? Well, over and over and over again in the Bible, the wicked are classified as being proud or arrogant, right? And in other words, they wicked, they sin, and they do it proudly, boastfully, and arrogantly, right? But the humble in this text is the one who does not do wicked, but continues to do what? Trust themselves in the Lord, delight themselves in the Lord, commit themselves to the Lord, trust also in the Lord. The humble is the one who places themselves fully in submission and trust to the Lord. And what does that mean? That means that it doesn't matter what is going on around us. It doesn't matter who's being successful doing wickedness. It doesn't matter how much we're being tempted to do wickedness ourselves. We continue to trust in the Lord with our lives, and we do not resort to wickedness to try to advance our careers, to try to gain worldly success, to try to gain material possessions according to the world. But instead, we remain humble. We remain trusting in the Lord. And what does the Lord say is the reward of that? He will inherit the land. What's the land? Well, it's eternity. It's the kingdom, right? When Christ says he will inherit the earth, it's when we enter into that eternal state and the earth becomes our eternal dwelling place. He says he will delight himself in abundant prosperity. All will be his, all of the riches. We become co-heirs with Christ, and all of the blessings and the promises are given unto him. And that is why we are called to not get caught up in the ways of the wicked, but to stay focused. And here's the thing that we have to understand about this. In order to hold to this, you have to have an eternal perspective. You have to be somebody that's not seeking quick gain. You have to be somebody who understands that what is to come is far greater than what is now. You have to be somebody that understands the Matthew 6 passages that talks about storing up your treasures in heaven, where moth cannot decay it, and all of those things. Why? Because everything that you gain on this side of the earth is temporary. It's fruitful, right? It's fruitile, I mean, which means it will perish. It will fade. And so if you walk away from the Lord to pursue things that are temporary, that are perishable, then you lose out on the thing that is eternal and imperishable. But those individuals who continue to fear the Lord, those individuals who will commit, trust, and delight themselves in the Lord, regardless of what appears to be successful in regards to the wicked, who does not turn to wicked ways to gain success and material, those individuals who continue to walk with the Lord, they will inherit the earth. And the result is they will dwell with abundant prosperity. Why? Because the treasures that are stored up in heaven do not decay, and they are far greater in number and in value than anything that we can receive on this side of heaven. And so, man, I just wanted to come on and encourage you guys, because I know how it is, man. And some of you have chosen to give up things that were material based to follow the Lord, believing that you might get something better. And here's the thing, you have gotten something better, but it's not guaranteed that there'll be material matching for material matching. The better is that you have a relationship with the Lord. The better is that your name becomes written in the Lamb book of life. But that can be a struggle, because you desire things on this side of heaven, and so do I. You do things to be successful. You do things. Nobody spends all of their time doing something to fail at it. We have goals in mind. We have ideas of how we want things to look. And when we're trying to be righteous and walk with the Lord, and it appears that people who aren't are getting the looks that we want, the success that we want, the material possessions that we want, it can be discouraging, and it can cause you to question, why did you give up all of this stuff to walk with the Lord? And for some, they resort back. For some, they give up. For some, they turn from the Lord because of these things, man. But I don't want that to be you. The wicked will prosper. There's nothing we can do about that. However, the thing that we have to remind ourselves is that we live with an eternal perspective. We fully believe that Christ will return. And when he returns, those who belong to him will enter into the kingdom to live eternally with him and will dwell in the earth. The earth becomes our possession, and we live with abundant prosperity. And so we do not give that up to walk in the ways of the wicked for temporary success and temporary wealth and temporary popularity. Because we know, as the song, as the writer or as the preacher in Ecclesiastes said, for we know this, that it will go well for those who fear God, who fear him openly, but it will not go well for the evil person. And so I just want to encourage you guys today in this brief Bible study to not allow yourself to be given over into wickedness because you become discontent with where the Lord has you, because you see those who not walking with the Lord appear to be more successful than you. Stay trusting God. Stay doing what he has told you to do. Stay doing things faithfully and righteously. Do not scoff at what God has for you. Do not become discontent with what God has for you. But commit yourself to him. Delight yourself to him. Trust in him. In one way or another, you will be successful. First, because successful is faithfulness to God. And secondly, because those who dwell with him now will dwell with him in eternity and dwell in abundant prosperity. Listen, guys, that's what I have for y'all today. I hope that was encouraging to you guys, man. If it was, go ahead and hit the like button, the share button, the subscribe button here on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at I am Pastor Tanks. And then if you want to just hear good old preaching, good biblical expository preaching, listen, then go ahead also and right here on YouTube, subscribe to Reach City Church Cleveland on YouTube. Reach City Church Cleveland. That is the church that I pastor here in Cleveland. I founded that church in 2020, and God has been faithful to us, man. So you can subscribe to Reach City Church Cleveland on YouTube, and you can hear sermons by me, sermons from those who I train up to teach the word of God. And then also go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Reach Church CL. Again, I don't know how often I'm going to be on here. I can't promise you an upload schedule, but I am going to try to be a little bit more consistent. But one thing I can tell you is that if you subscribe and follow me on Instagram, once a week I do a Q&A with myself from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so go on over to Instagram, subscribe, follow I am Pastor Tanks. And then while you're there, go ahead and follow Reach Church CLE. And then hit the like button, the subscribe button here on YouTube. Share this with somebody if this blessed you, if this encouraged you. And until the next time, man, I will see you again on Apologetics for You. I'm Pastor Tanks. Take care.